who will deliver the keynote speech. Dr. Zhao Jianming is the Deputy Minister of the Mainland Affairs Council. Dr. Zhao, please.
Dean, another Dr. Zhao, Director Xu, distinguished guests, friends, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. It's indeed a privilege and honor to address such a distinguished international panel. I was asked to talk about the my government's China policies and the current state of, and also to assess the current state of affairs between the two sides of the Taiwan Straits. My presentation will be in general, but in short, maybe I keep talk about the 20-25 minutes. I welcome your comments and questions afterwards. The relationship between the two sides of the Taiwan Strait, of course, has been dramatically changed to the better in the last 2.5 years since President Mao took office in May 2008. I think we all remember Taiwan Strait used to be one of the most dangerous flashpoints in East Asia, along with the Korean Peninsula, the nuclear problem. But happy to say that, well, the danger remains in that part of the world, in the Korean Peninsula. But things in this part of the world have been dramatically changed. One of the very first things we did was to reactivate the channel of communications between the two sides, and we have achieved a lot of. In the following presentation, I will first give you a very brief overview as to what has happened in the past 2.5 years, and followed by a touch on what the objectives of my government's China policies. Then very brief introduction to the 14 the agreements that have been reached between the two sides. Then, of course, I'm sure many people are interested in the economic cooperation agreement that was signed 2-3 months ago. Then I'll give you a small conclusion. That's the plan. Next, please. That's my home job. Okay.
Thank you very much for the very engaging discussion. There are some political scientists who believe that the more economically interdependent a large country and a smaller country become, the harder it is for the smaller country to maintain autonomy. So is there a point at which you believe there's too much interdependence with the mainland, or do you think that particular theory is just not correct?
I'm aware some people do have that worry, but I'm also aware that I'm convinced more people are of the thinking that the more contacts and more engagement between countries or regions would create a network, so that the freedom of actions, in this case, freedom of not so good actions, might be restrained. I think this is exactly what countries are doing it with China, because we want China to be engaged. We want China to be more participatory in international affairs instead of closing its door. We're not talking about economic benefits alone. We're talking about by increasing engagement. We are hopeful and we are sure this has been the case. It has been tested case after case. That once once a country is more related, more forthcoming to international regime and activities, then the country has to observe the rules set by the international community. That's exactly what we need. I think it's clear that before the 1980s, when China refused to it was still in a cocoon, refused to engage with the outside world. That was the time when it was the most dangerous. But right now, we understand there are still disputes between your country, the United States, and China. And right now, it seems to me there are quite heavy disputes between your two countries. But I don't worry. I don't think anyone worries about possible conflict in a malicious fashion. I don't think we need to worry about that. I think this is healthy and this is normal. Yes, maybe the U.S.'s autonomy and might be reduced to some extent as a result of this extended network of interaction between your two countries, because China has bought a huge T-bill there, no doubt about that. So when you are thinking about certain measures, you might have to have a second thought. But I think equally true is that China's behavior is also restrained, maybe in my opinion, to a bigger extent. If you are to contrast the two patterns, China's external pattern now as of say 20 years ago, you get the conclusion of right. This is so I don't think we should worry about that. Actually, on the contrary. Or what we need to do, or what Taiwan needs to do, is to create even bigger network, or to net even more closer network between the two sides. The more the better. Yes, Mr. Cook.
My question was substantially the same about interdependence and whether that will lead to absorption. There's quite a few people in America, China specialists, talking about the inevitable absorption.
But you are not from the United States.
I'm not from the United States, and I don't think it's inevitable. So I'll ask a slightly different question. On your poll, it showed clearly that the majority, the largest single proportion of the population, wants the status quo indefinitely. But can the status quo be sustained indefinitely? Particularly since one of the sides, China, has ruled this out as being unacceptable in the notorious anti-secession act of 2005. Is it indefinitely sustainable?
Well, of course, China in the past few years has made some addition to its policies to Taiwan. I'm sure the same goes to China's policy to the rest of the world. New policy, the rise of China, peaceful rise, right? That's the term. But regarding the status between the two sides, with or without this new addition, the status quo has been maintained for the past 6 decades, with or without this new addition. What I'm saying is that in the past, such a long history, I'm sure at various times, China has different policies regarding, neighbors in this region and the other parts of the world. But in this part of the, specifically in the Taiwan Strait area, the status quo has been maintained. Whether it can be maintained sitting day eye indefinitely, I don't know. Who knows? Because this we are talking about very dynamic world. But what I'm sure is that China is changing now, and I'm hopeful that China is changing to the direction that the two sides might be closer in the future, and that would create a situation that tensions might even be reduced, because if the two sides are, say, far apart politically in terms of systemic difference, Then of course you are going to see more differences, right? You see disputes, right? So if China is developing in a direction, I'm sure we will resume this talk on this particular subject tomorrow morning when I will also participate in the final discussion. I'm sure if China is moving in that direction, then there's much less to be concerned. Where then we see less conflicts between the two sides, and more opportunities might be created as a result, and more room for cooperation and so on. So there's reason to be worried. All right. With that, I think we are really late now. Maybe with that, I conclude my presentation today. Thank you.
Thanks, Director Zhao. We would like to remind